You can do it? Yes, you can. Not because you're anyhow distinguishable or because you're a genius, but because everybody's faking it. There are so many people who have a position, could be a position at a company, could be some skill they acquired, could be their proficiency in English, could be their proficiency in computer programming. There are people who claim to be geniuses, even though they obviously are not. And these people may demotivate you. Certainly you've heard that being motivated and getting started is half the work done. And I think it's true because it sort of gives you the illusion that you are more competent than you really are. And that you see everything in a rather positive light. That everything is manageable, everything is to be achieved. And you're not some loser who can't manage anything. You're competitive, you're competent, you're able to do things. And this makes you feel good and valuable. And this is an approach which every fool can take. But in the same way, people can also demotivate you. They might have a vested interest in keeping you down so that they feel better. They might try to keep you down to not to become that competition ever. Or they're just deluded, or they believe that they have already understood how life works and that they are in any position to lecture you on how world works. So, as I've heard somewhere, and I tend to believe, most advice is nonsense. It's just not true. And there's hardly a person ever who can tell you that you're not good enough. Maybe you have a friend, maybe you have some family member who knows you for a long time, and they tell you, oh, come on, you're a moron, you can't manage. You know, this is not how it works. I mean, you know, you've been trying for a long time, it still doesn't work. But the thing is, this, all the while, is intended to help you and to sort of help you see their version of reality. This other person does not represent any authority. They just have their own brain to analyze everything. They don't represent any group of psychologists, world-renowned medical company, group, whatever, who would have any professional base on how your psychology works. So I think for most people, they're best off if they just believe they can achieve anything, because the sources which would tell them otherwise are incompetent. I think people generally are much less competent than they really think. And that's why I always think it's better not to insult anybody, because you yourself can never know how things really are. You have your own illusion of reality, and so does everybody else. Number one, how would you know that your perception is correct? Number two, how do you know that your version, even if implemented correctly, would work for another person? My answer would be I don't know. So let's just see how everything is, and let live and let live, really. Just be happy that you're happy, and let other people be happy in their own way. The problem starts when somebody starts to spread negativity in order to sabotage you. Obviously that's very bad, and it's a combination of all the bad things I could think of. It mainly intends to put you down, to make your life worse if you actually believe this stuff. And it's also false, because the other person assumes that they have the authority to say things about other people. So, to put it bluntly, unless you're a world-renowned psychologist, or anybody else is, whoever the person is who's talking, then they have no position. It's not their place to judge anybody else's psychology. So, I think if you believe in yourself, then that's the best way for you, because you see then everything positively. But if you have a negative view of yourself, even if you are competent, you may still sabotage yourself all to the extent that you will become less competent. Just thinking about it, oh, come on, I'm so incompetent, I'm such a loser, obviously I will never amount to anything or achieve anything, why should I even bother trying? So I'll just kick back and wait for the next 60 years till I'm dead. So I think many people have achieved their current position by a mixture of arbitrary ways, and it's oftentimes not replicable, but people still like to say that they are distinguished. People like to say that they are special. People like to say they are better than everybody else. And it's because of their specialness that they have achieved the success that they have. I think that's just complete garbage, because if it's not replicable, then they were lucky. It's as simple as that. So I think another person tells you something about yourself. If it's positive, sure, and take it to your heart. Be happy. Use it to boost your sort of pump upness. If you're pumped and you really just want to boost through some hard work or some hard assignment, sure, you can use it. But if it's negative, I think it's important to ignore it. Because if you have your guard down with a certain person, then you are at risk of being manipulated by them. So I think if you have a person in your life who is known to tell bad things to you, and if you don't have the option not to have them in their life altogether, maybe it's a colleague at work or somebody, then make sure that you have your guard back up with them. So I think that it's important to protect this. It's important to protect your motivation. Being pumped up is something I would say, like I mentioned before, foundation of a fool's way to success, because it doesn't require any intellect. You think that you're great, so you just sort of grind your teeth a bit, you contract your muscles a bit, you hold up your breath, you stand upright. I'll manage. Yeah, but sure, I mean, you can feel good while you're doing it, but this is not going to do anything. It's stupid. But still somehow maybe pumping your adrenaline or seeing the relationship between this and some Hollywood movies, this may sort of inspire you to work harder or so, get to work. So getting into the worker's horse mode and just doing things by the sheer brute force and telling yourself you can manage stuff, you can manage the impossible, you can move mountains, that's all very silly. It might work for your heart, while it may motivate your subconscious, and so that's all good. But it's all stupid, it's not true. And so I think that if you actually want to employ this, it's important to notice the stupidity thereof and recognize it, and make sure you don't make decisions in this case. Basically, in this context, you're only executing. And the planning should be done when you are not in this horse hard worker mode. That you should really deliberate things carefully based on your actual knowledge, your actual skill, use real information, and basically planning out carefully how you are going to execute your project, whatever it is. And then, once you have the plan finished, then you just sort of become uptight and get into this hard working mode where you don't think and you just sort of self-motivate yourself and sort of just tell yourself you can do it. The importance of this is that there are quite a few people I would call rather silly or rather, well, stupid, who think that just because they get into this mode, they become intelligent and successful. I disagree with this completely. I mean, it's like cocaine. It's like you're going to think you're great, it's not actually going to make you great. So believing yourself is good. It's going to get you pumped up, and it's going to sort of get your coach on the road to get started. But it's not going to do any hard thinking for you. It's not going to make you intelligent or successful. I think it's a combination of many things, like mainly this hard workingness, and a combination of probably recognizing what is and what isn't important, and just make the right choices. So I think anybody should be motivated to do anything they want, because most of the advice givers are fake and liars and charlatans and just pretenders. And I think every person has what it takes to achieve most of the things they want to achieve. I mean, it's also a stupid thing to want to be number one, right? In world terms or in your field. Like, why? I mean, sure, you might aspire to be the best person on the planet for this job, but just because you're not, maybe if you're like let's say you're the 10,000th best person for the job, that's still good. I mean, it's free of comparison to anybody else, and in the end you live life for yourself. So as long as you've moved from point 1 to point 2, I think anybody could consider this success. So to recap, I think there's much psychology at play in being motivated and liking yourself in the eyes of economy. There's basically other people who pretend to be better than they really are. Those you should ignore, I think, and just make sure that you plan out everything, and then once you have everything planned intelligently, then just sort of get into this hard-working mode and pull through it. Nobody is in any position to tell you that you're not good. You only you know you. I think not even your parents can really say they see into your head. So only you know you. So only take yourself at face value. Everybody else could be potentially lying to you, or even, while meaning well, could be giving you bad advice. If you want to do something, do it. There's probably no best way to do it, so just take what you have and do it. And in my view, that's all you can ever do for this. So thanks for listening, and bye.